Hello guys, it is Mersh. Welcome back to my channel. It is currently exactly 1 week until Christmas, which is nice, so Merry Christmas to everybody. Today I have a takeover for this gentleman called Akaza. Now Akaza came to me, he has a very stacked account. As you look at his Great Hall, he has completely maxed it, which is always nice to see. It helps a lot with obviously hitting the stats and stuff that you need. But he's come to me, he wants a clan boss team that can one key Ultra Nightmare. Looking through his account, he obviously has a lot of very good champions. They were just the ones that he's got out of the vault. He's got, yeah, a pretty stacked account. He's got a lot of the top tier champions. And yeah, he just wanted me to have a look and see what could be done to his account. The first thing I noticed is that he has a 3-star blessing for Cardiel, who is like obviously fully ascended. And I also saw a Lydia quite close to the top of that list too. Straight off of that, I wanted to see if we could go ahead and build the exact same team composition as the world record Ultra Nightmare team. And looking through the account, he had all the champions that we needed to do it. We've got a Demytha, a Lydia, a Cardiel, a Ninja, a Seeker. So we have all the champions that are needed. I decided to challenge myself because I've never ever worked with a Cardiel before. Yeah, I went into it and decided to try and build that same team just to see what kind of damage numbers we would get, right? Because he has good gear in terms of speed, but he hasn't got the most crazy damage gear. So I just wanted to see how that team would perform with pretty average damage gear, but with a good team composition. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the builds now. Okay, so the first champion who I'm going to show you is Cardiel, and he is pretty crucial to making this team work, right? Normally, to deal with the debuffs that are thrown out from the clan boss with Demytha teams, most people would be relying on Aeris, right? Because you can tune her to 3 to 1, and you can essentially make it so she is constantly cleansing the whole team at the start of every single turn throughout the run. With Cardiel, he brings a lot to the table. Not only does he have a cleanse with this ability, but this ability also then goes ahead and it actually places a block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. It's a really crazy good ability. It's probably the best block debuff ability for Clan Boss. What makes him also very good is that he has a ally attack, not as good as Farrakhan's, but pretty damn close to be honest. It also puts increased crit rate and crit damage on everybody. And then he also has his passive, which is whenever an ally attacks, he has a 15% chance to team up with them and join their attack, which is really nice. It means that he's gonna constantly like jump in and just get a few extra hits in for Clan Boss, and it means he can apply War Master to them as well. But in terms of the build that we've got for him, we have him in 2 pieces of Perception and 2 pieces of Divine Speed, just to get the nice little set bonuses. And by the way, every single champion that I'm going to show you today is running with Law of Steel. So all of these speeds that you're seeing is because of Law of Steel. So if you're planning to build this same team, make sure you're cross-checking which sort of speed set bonuses that you're using when you're putting it into Deadwood Jedi's calculator. But in terms of the stats that we've got him running at, we have him at about 40,000 HP with 2,500 defense. In terms of damage stats, we've got him at 3k attack with 96% crit rate and 258% crit damage. We also have him running at 268 speed, and accuracy just isn't important. In terms of his masteries, we have pretty bare masteries on the offense tree, just doing the bare minimum so we can get down to War Master, make sure we're getting the most out of his ally attack hits. And then in terms of the support tree, we've got lasting gifts to try and make sure his buffs that he's putting on everybody has a chance to last for another turn, just to help with making sure that the block debuffs is up for as long as possible on everybody, as well as the increased crit rate and increased crit damage. We have got Law of Steel to amplify his set bonuses, help with sort of getting to those speed numbers. We have him in Steadfast because he is the one person we do not want taking the stun at any point. And we have Master Hexer just to increase the duration of any debuffs he places on the clan boss. To be honest, he doesn't actually have many debuffs, but he does have Brimstone because of that blessing. And Master Hexer will apply Brimstone for an extra turn. Then we have Lydia. Now, Lydia, she is also very important to this team. She puts out an increased speed buff on everybody, and that combined with Demytha, same with Cardiel, to be honest. You know what? I'll cover that when we get to Demytha. But Lydia, she brings a lot to the table. She has decreased defense and weaken, as well as the increased speed on one ability, which is nuts, on a 3-turn cooldown. We have this, which is a poison sensitivity, and we only use this for the first turn, and then for some reason the poison sensitivity debuff, it keeps extending itself, and I'm not sure why, but it's handy. So, and then it's just like a basic A1, but she is in 2 sets of perception. And in terms of her stats, we have her at 298 speed, so very fast. She's the second fastest in the team. We have her at 40k HP, 3k attack, 2600 or 2700 defense, 91% crit rate, and 172% crit damage. Now with this team, it's not too important to be completely crit capped, as you're going to see with a lot of the builds, and the reason for that is because of Cardiel's increased crit rate ability. It's up for most of the fight, so it just means that this isn't too important, because most of the time they're going to have max crit rate. And then, sorry, to cap it off, we have 300 plus accuracy, which is important to make sure we are landing the decreased defense and weaken, right? In terms of her masteries, standard clan boss masteries down to War Master. Then we've gone the support tree, just to grab some accuracy masteries, make that a bit easier. We've gone Law of Steel to amplify the perception set bonuses that we're getting. Evil Eye, so she can be used outside of this clan boss team. We have Sniper to increase the chances of placing any of the debuffs, and Master Hexer just to make sure that they are lasting for longer. Then we have the damage dealer, which is Ninja. Now, Ninja, he is running with 2 pieces of Cruel and 1 piece of Perception. We have him at 40k HP, with defense doesn't matter at all on him. We have him at 5k attack, with 92% crit rate and 278% crit damage, which is pretty solid damage stats. And we have him running at 246 speed. This sort of exact speed for Ninja is pretty strict. I think 246 is the lowest it can be. I think it can go up to maybe 248, but I wouldn't recommend changing it if you can help it. And accuracy, we have him at 300, again, which is just enough to make sure he can land the debuffs consistently. I'll go over his abilities quickly. Obviously, his passive just increases his damage every time he's cycling through his abilities. His A1 has a decreased defense and it increases his turn meter by 15% when it is used against a boss. Hail Burn, which is his main damage ability, it just activates any HP burns which are put on the target. It does really nice damage against clan bosses in particular. And then his A3 is just a 1 hit, it ignores 50% of the defense, and it decreases the cooldown of Hail Burn, his main damage ability, by 1 turn, which is really nice. In terms of Ninja's masteries, we have standard clan boss masteries down to War Master, and then we've gone down the support tree. We have some accuracy masteries. We have Law of Steel, just to amplify the set bonuses, like the attack that you get from Cruel, for example. We have Cycle of Magic because it doesn't actually matter if he decreases the cooldown of his abilities. It just means he's going to be able to hit for harder. And I think Ninja can run in Perception Relentless gear with this comp, but I think it makes it a little bit inconsistent because if he gets his Relentless procs quite a lot very early on, it can throw off the speed tune of the team. So just for consistency reasons, we haven't included it in this build, and it means that we can actually get to some quite nice damage numbers because we're not sort of limited to just Perception gear. We've got Sniper just to make sure he can actually land his HP burn when he is applying it. And we've got Master Hexer, again, just to make sure it's lasting there for longer. The next champion who I'm going to show you is Seeker. Here he is. So Seeker, we have him in a Toxic set, just because there's plenty of room on that debuff bar because we don't have a dedicated Poisoner. So that means we're going to put Seeker in a Toxic set, and the reason he is in it is because his speed requirement is the lowest out of everybody. He only needs to be at 227 speed, which is pretty solid. In terms of the rest of his stats, though, we have him at about 46,000 HP with just under 3k attack. We have him at 2,300 defense with 95% crit rate and 254% crit damage. Accuracy is not important for him unless you're using him outside a clan boss. I'll show you his skills quickly. Very simple. It's just a standard A1 that attacks twice, and his A2 is a big 30% turn meter fill for all the allies. It grants him an extra turn and puts increased attack on everybody as well. And then his masteries, standard sort of bare minimum masteries down to War Master. Then we have him in Steadfast as well on the support tree because we don't want him getting stunned at any point. And then we've gone ahead and grabbed Lasting Gifts just to increase the duration of the increased attack, just because he is the only person who can actually place it, and we want it to have as much uptime as possible, right? Then we have Law of Steel again. This does include the set bonus from Toxic set, so it just gives a bit of an extra chance of actually placing those poisons. We have some accuracy stuff, which isn't too important. It's mainly so we can get down to this side of the tree. And then Master Hexer to extend the duration of the debuffs cast. So this will extend the Toxic set debuffs as well. And then finally, the person who sort of brings it all together and makes the Clan Boss team tick is Demytha. Now, Demytha, we have her with one speed set, one perception set, and one cruel set, just to try and help with her damage and obviously help with her speed as well. She doesn't need accuracy, it's just these two perception pieces have pretty good speed rolls, right? As you can see here. That helps us get her to the point where we need her to be. So she needs to be at, I think it's 326 speed as a minimum. So it's a very sort of like intense requirement for the speeds with this team, because you have Lydia obviously just under 300. She needs to be, or Demytha, sorry, needs to be at 328 for this particular speed tune. We have her with 45,000 HP, 2,500 attack, 2,500 defense, 328 speed, as I said, 87% crit rate with 140% crit damage, because these are the best sort of damage stats that we could squeeze in, whilst we're trying to aim for that obviously very high speed requirement. In terms of her skills, she has an A1 which just attacks twice. Each hit will place a shield buff for 2 turns equal to 10% of this champion's HP on the ally with the lowest HP. Because this is a block damage skill, doesn't really matter too much. We have her A2, which is a buff extender, which is really nice. And the A3, which is the block damage and a continuous heal. The reason this increased buff duration is really nice is because she will use this to increase the duration of the speed buff that Lydia puts out to make sure that everybody has increased speed up all of the time. And it also will go towards Cardiel's buffs as well. So with Cardiel putting this up every 3 turns, on a 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns, with Demytha extending it, it means that we can have block debuffs up on everybody for the second clan boss AoE and the clan boss stun, which means that this team will be completely auto, even on Spirit Affinity, which is huge. It means we don't need to worry about building a stun target, and yeah, we don't need to worry about the decreased speed the Spirit clan boss throws out either. So honestly, the speed tune is really, really good. And yeah, I'll show you the setup now. Okay guys, so to show you the setup for the team, we have Cardiel in the lead spot. The reason for that is because we are using his speed aura, just to make sure that everyone's running at the speeds that we need. Make sure that Demytha can quite comfortably hit the 3-to-1 ratio with the clan boss. Same with Lydia, and actually the same with Cardiel. So Cardiel, I'll just go in the order that I have them here. He needs to start with his A1, and then his first priority is on the block debuffs ability, and his second priority is on the increased crit rate ally attack ability. This just helps it stay in full auto, make sure that the block debuff comes in at the right time during the whole like sort of starting stages, just to make sure that this is up at the right time for the rest of the run to keep it full auto. Ninja, he needs to start with his A1 with this, because we need to make sure he has that little bit extra turn meter, which he will get from using his A1 to start with. Then we just put his Hail Burn on priority, make sure that's used whenever it's up because it's his main damage ability. That's how we're going to get to the crazy numbers. Then we have Lydia. She needs to start with her A3 and then never use it again. The reason for that is basically just mid-maxing the damage. So for some reason, I don't actually know why. Maybe you can let me know in the comments, but when she uses this ability, obviously the poison sensitivity buff comes out, as well as the block buffs and block active skills. These two debuffs, the block buffs and block active skills, they fall off normally, but for some reason the poison sensitivity buff, it stays on, and the turn like sort of count on it just keeps going up throughout the fight. I'm not sure why. I don't actually know the ins and outs of poison sensitivity. Maybe it's just whenever there's a poison, it increases the turn that this is going to stay up for by 1. I'm not 100% sure, but we start with this. The poison sensitivity debuff will stay out for the whole fight, which will amplify the damage that Seeker is doing with the toxic set, which is obviously lovely. So start with this and then never use it again, because otherwise the block buffs and block active skills will take up more of the debuff slots, which means less poisons, which means less damage. Then she uses her Siren's Wail, her main ability on the A2. That comes in on the second turn. And then, yeah, her A1's just going to be sort of whenever she has to use it. Seeker, Normally, you would see him have to delay his increased turn meter ability, but with this particular speed tune, he actually has to use it first. He'll just do that whenever it's up. And then Demytha, she needs two. She needs to have first priority on the increased duration, and then second priority on the block damage. And because these are on a 3-turn cooldown with both of them, means they're never going to overlap. She's going to use them at the same point on every single turn because she's running at 3 to 1, right? So she's going to do an A1, increased duration, A3. So she'll be using her block damage at the end of every turn. She'll increase the duration of all buffs around the middle, just after Lydia has used her increase speed and Cardiel has used his block debuffs. And that's sort of the premise of how the whole team stays in sync, right? She's there to block damage and extend buffs. He's there to put up useful buffs. She's there to increase the speed of everybody. Seeker is there to increase the turn meter of everybody to make sure that we're running fast enough to be able to do all of this. And then Ninja is just there for the damage. Cardiel, the reason this comp is so good is because we have all those key roles, but then each champion just brings a lot to the table as well. Cardiel, obviously bringing a lot of damage stuff. Ninja, big boy damage. Lydia, she brings poison sensitivity, decreased defense, and weaken. Seeker, he obviously brings the turn meter fill, but he also increases the attack of everybody. And everybody here, their damage scales off attack, so it just the amount of value that we're getting from all of this is crazy. He's also a good user of the Toxic set because he attacks twice with his A1, so he has a chance of placing 2 poisons every time he's taking a turn. And then Demytha, she doesn't do crazy numbers, but because of the increased duration, it just unlocks the team completely. Okay guys, so this is the actual run. I'll just sort of walk you through it quickly, show you guys the setup and how it actually works. Now, I did record this obviously prior just to make sure everything was running, make sure I was showing you guys exactly how it should be, the final product to look like. I say this with every video. I prefer to record it before just so you guys can see how it should be working. But yeah, I'll just let it play through for a minute. Now, this team, I've already talked through exactly how it will work, but it does take a little bit of setup to get going. I believe with this exact speed tune, we will never see anybody get stunned because we have a block debuffs coming up so often and it's being extended. Like as you see there from Demytha, right? All these buffs just get extended. It's really nice. The only person who ever really takes a debuff with this particular speed tune, I believe, is Ninja. And it doesn't really matter if Ninja has his speed reduced a little bit because he makes up for it with his A1, increasing his turn meter again. And because we do have that Seeker turn meter ability, it just means that decreased speed debuffs just don't really impact the comp too much. Obviously, if it was on everybody, then yes, it would be a problem. But with it only being on one person, and then we've got Seeker plus Ninja's A1 to make up for it, it doesn't even matter, right? And you should see how many buffs that we actually have on the team. It's pretty nuts, right? You could replace Ninja with like a Lord Shazar or pretty much any damage dealer. Just make sure when you're doing it, you are checking the speeds in the calculator, making sure that the whole team will still stay in sync when you do make that switch. Obviously, if you need help with that, just let me know in the comments. I'll do my best to see if I can find the speed for the particular champion that you want to use instead of Ninja, just because I do understand not everybody has him. But then again, not everybody is going to have a Cardiel either. So, but yeah, as you're seeing with this team, block debuffs are staying up on pretty much everybody most of the time, and as soon as it falls off, you're seeing Cardiel comes out. He puts the block debuffs up, and then Ninja is not Ninja. Demytha is extending it shortly after, which is just really nice. I'll get into like sort of the middle of the run. So just now you've seen the first sort of 6 turns how they look like. Now I'm going to get into like the thick of the run. Just got to wait for the the abilities to cycle through. At the moment, it's just A1s. Block damage comes out, obviously to block the damage from the clan boss right before his turn. You're seeing the increased speed. You should see, okay, Demytha A1. There's the block debuffs up from Cardiel. Increased speed is still in everybody. Block debuffs are still in everybody. And then you just saw Demytha increase those buffs as well. Just, yeah, essentially we have all these buffs coming out every 3 turns for 3 turns consistently. It's such a nice team. It's such a nice team comp. I found this particular speed tune actually looking through Hell Hades Optimizer. I saw somebody else was using like a Mythbuster speed tune but it wasn't the one that's sort of like listed on Deadwood Jedi's website, so it sort of piqued my interest a little bit. What really sold it for me is that this thing is full auto, and Demytha doesn't even, sorry, not Demytha, Lydia does not even take the decreased speed that is normally put out by the Spirit Clan boss. Because I imagine that that can lead to a bit of complications. And I think on the Deadwood Jedi website, with that particular team, looking at the speed chain calculator, there was a turn where somebody didn't have block debuffs up during the stun for the clan boss, and that made me panic a little bit because I didn't know who to build out for the stun target or whatever. But yeah, I found this speed tune, and everybody has block debuffs up 100% of the time anyway, so there's just no chance for it to go wrong, right? But yeah, that's generally how the team works. I've explained it to you in pretty good detail. I'll explain it in more detail in the comments, but there is the damage, right? We did not have particularly crazy damage numbers on anybody, apart from maybe Ninja. We had good damage numbers on Cardiel, but Lydia Demytha basically had little to no damage numbers. Seeker is just there in a toxic set, right? But just having Cardiel jump in with all of these extra auto attacks and War Master procs, as well as Ninja being Ninja, like the best clan boss damage dealer by far. Yeah, you're just seeing that this whole team puts up a crazy number, 170.64 million. This was against a Magic Affinity, just because that's all I had to test it on. And the thing with Magic Affinity is that nobody here is actually getting any bonus damage from it. So I imagine the numbers against Void are pretty similar as well. That's generally the team, man. I was gobsmacked when I saw the 170 mil come out. It just shows how impressive this comp in particular is. And I think the reason these damage numbers can be so high is because everybody is taking multiple turns before the clan boss gets one turn in. And we have so many good buffs up throughout the whole fight. We've got Brimstone as well on Cardiel, and no other blessings, so there's so much more room for this team to improve. Um, I reckon with blessings, you're probably looking at maybe 185, 190, possibly even 200 mil. Especially if we can get like sort of squeeze some more damage in with the builds here and there. But overall, man, this is a really, really solid team. I know obviously it's very gear intensive and it is not for sort of like early or mid game players. This is very much for late game players who happen to have a Cardiel and were lucky enough to be playing when they had Ninja, like available to them. Lydia, she's available for free. Demytha, she was part of a fusion. The only champion that you would have had to pull is Seeker and Cardiel. But yeah, without further ado, thank you very much for watching. If you guys want a takeover done for your account, just leave a note in the comments and I'll tell you how to sort of find that information. But all the information that you would need to know for takeovers can be seen in my Discord server. I have a whole channel dedicated to it. Just have a look through that and then drop me a message on Discord and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. But without further ado, thank you very much for watching. I hope this team was as impressive to you guys as it was for me. And peace.